Ignore the ocean. Oh, sorry,
Sorry that I couldn't make it to Grandma's memorial service, so I thought I would read you what I wrote to Grandma. An ode to my grandma. A woman of beauty and grace, held us in her warm embrace. She smelled of cookies and perfume. Her presence lit up every room. She would always take me bowling. At the park, we would go strolling. After a few rounds of putt-putt or the occasional haircut, we would go shopping at the mall or from Trader Joe's Flora Hall. Werther's original treats. Butterscotch toothache was so sweet. She never forgot my birthday, came to graduation in May. But when I miss about her most is the love she gave as our host.
This is why I retired last year, so I don't have to deal with computers.
Okay. Do any of you that back there want to say anything about Gigi Ma? I have a story. Okay, great.
So, probably around my 10th or 11th birthday, and she never forgot her birthday. She always sent us something, and I remember she sent me this little box, and I opened it, and there was a Nintendo DS in it. And if you know, like, they're the handheld, like, game things. And I remember I was so excited, and I wanted to just rip it open. And so I started opening it, and we pulled out a charging cord, and I couldn't find the DS in the packaging. So my father and I were freaking out, ripping through the package, trying to figure out where it was. And somehow it was, like, folded in the package funny, and we didn't see it. So finally, after all this time looking for it through all our packaging, we find it. And later that week, we called her, and we told her this story about, me trying to find the DS in the package, just thanking her for it and everything. And after all of that, and going through all the time trying to find it, finally finding it, and then calling to say thank you, she picks up the phone and goes, "What's a DS?" And I don't think I've ever laughed so hard in my entire life.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I realized this last night when we were doing the crossword puzzle, how you said that Vikki was always smiling. I always do it when I talk like this. But I realized where I get it from is, I feel like that now that she's gone, I kind of realized that she was always smiling and always happy, and it's kind of like me. I literally never seem down, or I'm always there to show people up, and I'm always just there for everyone. And I mean, I'm very grateful that I have that part of her, and just hearing all these stories about her, just it really warms my heart to see that there's still so many people who care about her, and that she was so, that they even took from all the service that she did. And it might be a little tough that she's gone now, but we should all know that she wouldn't want us to be really upset. She'd be like, "Oh, cheer up. This is not something that should get you down. I'm always going to be with you no matter what." And I'm just kind of happy that I got that DNA from her, I guess, and that art that she did. I mean, I never made me as a good color like she was. Even at her age, I'm really grateful for everything, even though I lived so far away from her for most of my life. But I love remembering everything, like going to see the grapefruit tree, going to her house before I moved, and I'm so happy I had her in my life. And I to think of how I wouldn't have such a happy demeanor without her.
Yeah.
I think life would be a lot different if I didn't have her in my childhood. Yeah.
Thank you, Grace, and you know what, we can all see that you have grandma in you. Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, anyone else at that table? Okay, this table.
All right, the big mouth will go first. I have three things.
Now you said Tom was going first.
So I'm Carrie's son, and my dad was happy to be married into the family, even if he and my mom didn't get along too well. The one thing that he says every time I go to Florida is she always wrote the most wonderful letters. So, the funny thing, there's two funny things. One, I got to involve you from. So the first funny thing is I work for NASA Goddard Space Flight Center. I had a design review I had to go to in California, but I told my mom and grandma that I was going to come to their house for the weekend because it was a 2-week-long design review and there's nothing to do on the weekends in El Segundo. It's pretty much just buildings and stuff like that. So I go to the design review the first week and crunch numbers and do what we're supposed to do, and then I fly out to grandma's house. And I told them when I got there, I said, I don't want to talk, I don't want to do anything else. I'm going from the house to the lake. So I get in there, I give each of them a kiss and a hug, and I run out into the lake and just swim for a couple hours because that's all I wanted to do. It was a great thing to be able to come over there and do that. And the third and final thing that I'm going to involve Frank in, on my 45th birthday, I was dumb enough to do an accelerated free-for-all in tandem with a guy about this tall strapped to my back. He was like 4'6". I had to kneel in the airplane to go out the door. and Grandma and Carrie and John had come to the beach that weekend. Okay, it's my 45th birthday, so it was a great birthday. And I get done with that, and I drive back to the house, and Grandma's sitting on the front porch, and she says, "Where were you, and what did you do?" I said, "I jumped out of a perfectly good airplane." And she looked at me and said, "I don't think I could do that." So, I tried to talk her into it, but she just wasn't having it. So.
Thank you.
Tag team on that one. She gave him money for his birthday to pay for that jump. I'm sorry. I'm gonna do that, Brett. Excuse me. I just have to. I've mentioned this to a couple of people this weekend already. I admire Gigi Moss so much because she's so adaptable, like so youthful and positive and adaptable. So when they came to the beach that weekend, you have to understand we're in Dewey Beach, Delaware. It's a party town. It's big group houses. They're flop houses. People come. They pay a nominal amount of money. They'll sleep on a floor or a couch so they can go out and enjoy the beach and the bars and come back. And so when Carrie, Pappy John, and Gigi Mom were coming to stay at the house next to us, I worry, like, she's in her 80s. I don't know if this is going to be a good thing. I mean, my mother thinks camping is Holiday Inn, so I've got that mentality, and I've got Gigi Mom. Well, they're night and day. So they show up, and she's happy on the couch. I mean, she's like, just give me some cushions, I'll be fine. And she hung out the whole week, and I couldn't imagine it. And she was so willing and adaptable. She came out on the beach with us. She did all kinds of things with us. I had my friend Joan staying with us, and she has little ones. And Gigi and I made instant friends with all the kids. And I love the $20 story because, well, I've used it. So if I get a I charge. It works. By the end of the weekend, preteens, she gave them all 20.
Yeah.
There was a lot of ums, lies, and no's happening, but she understood the value of it. I love that. And I felt fortunate that when she did the 50th wedding anniversary here in Sedona with my golf, I was in the force. And I was so grateful for that time. I'd shoot the cart. She drove, of course. So, but we were just chit-chatting all through the 18. She played better than I did. But she had, this was a while ago, so this was at the advent of getting the big club heads on your driver. And she could just knock it down almost in regulation to the green. And I admired her club. She's like, take mine. So she let me use it most of the round. I still couldn't hit it like she did. And I got back from that trip, and a week later, this package shows up. And it was a big Bertha club. She'd ordered it and sent it to me. And I played that thing for 15 years. I mean, I loved that club. I never replaced it. I still have it. I've gone on to newer clubs, but I still have a good Bertha.
Thank you. Who's next?
I'll go. Alright. So I got a lot of grandma stories. I'll start a couple. So obviously we lived in Hong Kong, we'd come back to the States, and we'd spend, maybe a week with grandma or 2 weeks with grandma. And everyone, the grapefruit tree and the lake and all the bird poop everywhere. And I remember, one time, I think it was about 15 or 16, so also grandma's the one who got me into golf, so every year when I write my check to the golf club for my fees, I thank her for that gift. Painful as it is, and she bought my first set of clubs. We went to a used club store. I think I had $100 to spend. Anybody knows golf, you can't really buy clubs for $100, but we did. And then, I think my mom and dad gave me the money for that. Thank you. And then I remember one time, I think it was 15 or 16, I was at grandma's house, sitting back, and time to go to bed, so I go in the bedroom. I notice grandma goes into one room, and grandpa goes into another. Whoa, pump the brakes, like what's going on here? So I call mom and dad, and I'm like, hey mom and dad, I think grandpa and grandma might be having some trouble, they're sleeping in different rooms. I was like, no, it's the snoring. She said, oh, grandpa snores that bad? No, it's grandma that snores. And here's a song going on next door all night long. So I realized they weren't having trouble, they just couldn't sleep in the same room anymore. And then I remember, I also remember she used to, when she'd come into Hong Kong, we had these dolls that she made the hands for that you attach to your body so you dance to them the whole time. So we have those like a monkey. Yeah, put them on your feet. And then I still literally have this purple hippo that she made for me, of which I used in a pillow fight. I held onto the foot and smacked someone, and the whole thing came off and pulled onto the foot. So that this thing's now been surgically put back together, and I've given it to my daughters. And this thing is still in the house. And then I remember a few years ago we had a good laugh because all the boys and Tamara were in New Jersey, and Eric and Letty was still in New Jersey, and Grandma, and everybody's coming to New Jersey, which I have no idea. So everybody comes to New Jersey, and I called, and Grandma doesn't want to come. So I've got to call Grandma. I got to sell her on this thing. I'm like, wow. So I called Grandma, like, hey Grandma, why don't you come to New Jersey? Everyone's here. We'll have a nice little Christmas together. She's 93. She's like, oh, I really want to travel. So we'll work out the airplane part. So what's going to still, we can get you here. Like, well, even if somebody needs to go fly you and bring you there, we can still get it done. She's like, well, Todd, I have nowhere to sleep. And I'm like, well, Grandma, what do you mean? I got lots of beds, I got some space. She's like, no, I've been sleeping in this lazy boy for the last 20 years. Really? I said, okay. So I said, okay, Grandma, what if I go buy a lazy boy and put it in my house? Will you come for Christmas? She's like, yeah, I think I'll do that. I sold it. I literally had this lazy boy. I went to Bob's Furniture in New Jersey, which is like this cheap place, and I found the perfect lazy boy. I'm like, all right, this is a one-time sale. I'm going to buy this thing, put it in my house. Grandma's going to come sleep on it. When she's done, I'm going to throw this thing in the trash. Right? Turns out, Grandma comes. This thing was ugly, like really dark brown, disgusting things. Grandma loved it, really comfortable. I held on it for years, sat in my office, and every time I'd sit in that thing and push the button and kick back and do my work, I'd think of Grandma. Oh, I do have one more, which is actually classic. My wedding. So we got married in London, and this is where I figured out where I have a little bit of Grandma's DNA in me. Is sitting at the wedding, and of course I invited all friends from all over the world, and a lot of people came, and Trey started getting married. And we had it at the zoo. And so part of the zoo theme is I've got this elephant probably the size of me, an ice sculpture of this elephant rearing with a big trunk where he poured vodka in its head and he would come out the trunk. So somewhere as the night starts going, Grandma kind of comes over and is like, hey, I want to try that. Really? So I've got a picture of Grandma holding on this ice trunk while my buddies are pouring vodka in its head. And she said, oh, just a little bit. They're like, yeah.
back up just a little bit because I knew everybody would have lots of wonderful things to say about Mom and Mom. And I have so many, I don't know where to start. So I got some inspiration from our very talented Colette, who has a very successful business doing, I forgot what it is. Subway art and principles. And so on Gma's 90th, Colette kindly, it's lovely in a frame, but I did a photocopy to take on the flight from London. But so I wanted to, she put out together all these beautiful words that all about Gma, and she gave us all each a framed version of these. And so I wanted to find some inspiration in here. So we've covered most everything here, but I tell you, I have to talk about the lazy boys. So, and I just want to say, first of all, you may recognize this Todd. So he kindly hosted us, as he was saying, once he got Gma's Lazy Boy. Were there 18 of these, I think?
Something like that.
They got for a stocking for everyone who came that Christmas, and they all match. And so here's Gma's. We just found it when we were clearing the house last month. We were here, and I just thought I had to bring this because it's a special memory. And so, lazy boys. Gma did love her lazy boys. She stopped sleeping in a bed probably 15, 20 years ago. So therefore, she had 6 lazy boys in her house at any given time. And also, in a similar vein, when we would come from England, we would do road trips with her. And my 2 boys, every day, I'm gonna cry, would take that lazy boy into our rental van and take it in the hotel every night, and then take it back downstairs in the morning, and everywhere we went, their lazy boy would come with us. And, well, she had so many, I don't know how she chose, but I think we chose the lightest one to take. She has an electric one, and she has one at your house. And even when she moved up to Idaho, she took 2 with her there, but she still left 4 back here. And so she just couldn't sleep if she wasn't in a lazy boy, but boy, could she sleep in a lazy boy. And I have to tell you, I think soon I inherited her snoring, because I think soon my husband's going to get another bedroom. So, but she's, I could just go on and on about her, but I just have to say she used to come to London a lot to see us, and I'll just finish with one final memory. Do all of you remember this aircraft, the Concorde? So this Concorde used to fly over our house every day to land at Heathrow Airport.
Nice and quiet.
Really quiet, but you notice that one airplane, we don't mind, or didn't mind. And every night when she was visiting in the summer, they would go outside after dinner, her and the 2 boys, and they would sit and wait. And wait. And there it would come. And one night, they would have an ice cream, or do 3 hours, they're still waiting out there. And Axel says, why don't you just go and check the BA flight status every day, so you know what time to go out there. Because they literally sat there that entire time. But anyway, I could go on, but I'm not going to. I think we all know we love Gma, and we miss her dearly. And I know I'm not the last one to talk, but yeah, if anybody else, I think dessert will be coming shortly. So we'll just keep talking till then. So
We'll be talking through that also.
okay.
Sure. Spoken about, truly one of the most wonderful people. And I have a funny story about Gma. I went with her on a drive up to Sedona. We took a little tour through Sedona, and we stopped at a place to have a nice lunch together. The 2 of us have a lovely, wonderful lunch. This was probably 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. And she gets up and reaches in her pocketbook and pulls out some bills and sticks it in things. Oh, let me get lunch. I was like, oh, you don't need to do that, Gma. She's like, no, let me get it. And then but I'm going to go off the bathroom. If you can just pay the tip and things like that. So I open it up, and there's a 20 in there. And this was a really quite a nice restaurant. And lunch for 2 was closer to $70 or something like that. And I was kind of like, and I was like, well, I'll just, cover it and I won't say anything about it, and thanked her for, a wonderful lunch, and we headed off, and, the next day we're back at her place here in Sun City, and I think she then opened her wallet and realized, I didn't know what, I thought, oh, maybe she didn't realize how expensive it might be, or was maybe kind of losing a little bit, and, I didn't know what was going on, but she came up to me and goes, Chad, did I give you a 20 yesterday? Because she realized that she had meant to give me 100. There was 200 still in her wallet. She didn't give me 100. So we hugged and we had a good laugh about it because I had been too embarrassed to let her know. Anyway, but she was always very generous and just one of the kindest and warmest people that one could possibly hope to meet, and so fortunate that Vikki, as a member of her family, got to spend so many times with her.
Thank you.
Well, this is a sign of inflation. He gets $100 from his grandmother. Bruce and I were lucky to get 5 cents from our grandmother to go up the block and buy some candy. But both of my sons, well, everybody knows that my wife is a real party animal. Her reputation is far and wide in Hong Kong, I can tell you. And both Chad and Todd inherited this gene from Sandra. And Sandra obviously got this gene from her mother, because we were in London at Tamara's 50th birthday party and Sandra's 65th, and 120 people there. And at 2 o'clock in the morning when people are leaving, there's Grandma saying goodbye to everybody outside, waiting for everybody to come out to say goodbye to them. 2 o'clock in the morning. She was, 90, almost 90 years old now.
She came to London until she was 93.
Yeah.
Was she sipping from the elephant also then?
We didn't have an elephant luge at that
So I have a couple of stories. Probably the funniest one was when we got married, we struggled about where to have our wedding. So we decided to get married in Texas, but we'd have a party in London. So we said to Vikki, why don't you come to London, come to the party? She said, okay, fine. So she just put me in a little hotel. So we booked in a little hotel, just in Kensington. So all of my friends came over from Houston, where we were living. And a couple of them came over to me and they said, is your mother-in-law royal? And I said, no. Why? And they said, well, she's going around saying she's staying at the palace. And they meant Kensington Palace, which is where Princess Diana lives. And so I went over to Vikki. I said, Vikki, what are you doing telling our friends that you're staying at the palace? She said, I am. They asked me where I was staying. I said the Kensington Palace Hotel, but I just abbreviated it to the palace. Another one, which was funny. She said to me one time, do you invest money? I said, oh, yeah, I invest. And she said, well, do you mind investing some of mine? I said, yeah, that's okay, I'll do that. She said, but there's one rule, you can't lose any money. So I said to her, look, that's going to be a little tricky because, it kind of goes up and down, but, I'll put you in some sensible stuff and it'll go up, it'll go down. Don't understand it'll go up. She said, it can't go down. It just has to go up. Not going down. So I said, okay, just leave it with me. So the first month, it went up about $500. The next month, it went down about $1,000. And so she was on the phone to me, saying, how did it go down? I said, don't worry. Don't look at the statements every month. Just look every year. She goes, no. So every month she'd calculate, and she'd call me and she'd say, it's down $200, it's down $300 or whatever. But she could never Don't call me any month that it went up. Only when it went down. So that's it.
Okay, well, I hope you're enjoying your dessert while we finish up with this table. I think we'll have to wait. Are you ready to read your poem? Okay.
I would like to say you were special in every way. We all miss and love you so much. Joy was found in all that you touch. And her final goodbye was in Hawaiian, aloha, jima. So, if you want to do that all right. It's a view of my mother, different from my sisters. Obviously, I didn't acquire the dressing up mode like all my wonderful classy sisters, but I guess I'm classy in a different kind of way sometimes. So in 2006, my mother was 86 years old, I believe, right? 12 years, yeah. And she came, my daughter had just graduated from Sam Houston State University in 2005. She lived in Vegas for a year with her brother and his girlfriend, future fiance. And so I had Stevie move in July that year because they had to move from Vegas. They had to get out of that apartment or something. So she came to live with me. And she wanted to go back to school and get another degree in psychology and child behavior and stuff. So she came and then I said, Mom, why don't you come out and visit us and we'll check out Idaho, a different part of Idaho. So Mom came up to Idaho, stayed with me for a few days. Stevie and I and her went around and did a bunch of things in Boise, the gardens, the zoo, and the river walks and all that. And then I said, well, Mom, why don't we take a trip, you and I, and go explore Idaho like I do with my job with the Forest Service. So I knew a lot of forest country, right? So I took her on a round trip, kind of about 500-mile expedition across a loop up through the mountains, and we did it in about 2.5 days. We went to north and about 200 miles north of Boise and stayed there in Stanley, Idaho, and one of the coldest places on earth, along with Idaho or International Falls, Minnesota, right? Some places in Maine. So anyway, we ended up. So we slept one night there, and we looked at that one picture of her in front of the lake with the pine trees. That was Stanley Lake, actually. That's your lake, by the way. Yes. Yeah, beautiful spot. And then the next night, we drove slowly and stopped at all of the lookouts and the mountains. The Sawtooth Mountain Range is a really gorgeous mountain range. And we stayed in Ketchum, Idaho, that night, about 60 miles further down the road. So the very next day, I got up and said, Mom, let's go on a real adventure. So I took the back way, which is through forest roads from Ketchum to Fairview, which is about 100 miles across some really rugged mountain ranges, right? So we're going out of Ketchum, about 35 miles, and we get up to Dollar Heights Summit, which is 8,708 feet up, right? I'm in the same pickup truck I'm driving right now, and I have pictures here that I'll send around. But she, we've been talking and reminiscing, and it's a beautiful, gorgeous day, and you can see forever, cotton clouds going by. She looks over at me after all this driving up, right? It's a fairly easy drive up to the summit on that side, right? We got up there, and I said, Mom, why don't we get out and have a look around and get a little fresh air up here, 9,000 feet almost, right? She looks over at me, she goes, Dwayne, what the hell are we doing up here? I go, Mom, we're having a beautiful day. She says, why are we up here so high? And I said, well, we drove up the mountain, and I wanted to show you some of the beautiful places I get to work in my job. And she says, oh, okay. So we got out, and she's looking around, and there's another peak, another 1,000 feet above us right there. I said, Mom, why don't you pose like Lewis and Clark, pointing way out west? And it was one of those summits that ran north and south, so east and west were the view, right? So I got a picture of her standing there like Lewis and Clark, right? Pointing away, go west, young man. So that's one of the pictures. And then the other part of the story is we went down the other side. Well, the other side was 2,500 feet straight down like this. No trees, free slope road, free rock all the way down. And the road was like this, right, switchbacks. So we get about three switchbacks down, and there's about 1.5 foot deep snowbank, about 100 feet long. And I went, uh-oh, I didn't know that was there. This is June, right? So I said, Mom, you know, maybe you ought to get out and wait for me and see if I can inch my way through this, okay? There are already tracks, right? So she did that. And then when I went back and walked her through, you know, we kind of carefully got away from the cliff, you know. And we got a road about 8 feet wide that we're on, right? She gets back in the truck, she goes, Dwight, don't ever do that again to me. I said, what, Mom? She says, if you're going over the cliff, I'm going with you because I'm not standing out here with you 25 years. She said, we're going together. And I said, okay, Mom, I got it. So the next snowbank we went plowing through together. Right? She said, that's much better. So we got down the bottom of the mountain, and she, of course, we've been driving for about 3 hours on a dirt road, bouncing around, right? She goes, son, I really need to go. And I go, okay, Mom, well, out here in the woods, we just get out, and boys to the left and girls to the right. And she looked at me and says, really? Like, really? I said, yeah. So about 5 miles down the road, there happened to be one of those nice Forest Service toilets, right? So I stopped and she went in and I got a picture of her as she was opening the door, right? And I got a picture of her coming out. And she goes, and so I wrote a caption for her. I said, she goes, help, Dwight's driving and the brakes don't work. This is going down the mountain. Yikes, Scotty, beam me up now. And then Dwight, your mountain road driving really scared the crap out of me. Thank goodness this nice Forest Service bathroom was here. And that was at the bottom of the mountain, right? So anyway, it was quite the adventure.
Thank you, Dwight. Bruce, did you have a couple words you wanted to say? Did you have anything you wanted to say? Okay. All right, my kids, have some few words you want to say?
Sure, of course. I adored, respect, and loved you. And thinking about a few things to share. When we would come, you know, the 8 kids would all go down. Gina did all the work. We'd like, can we help with the dishes? And no, she'd gladly just serve another meal and with a smile on her face always. And finally, it was my turn to have Gina come to my house, and this was about 8 years ago. She came with Rick and Sandra, who were in watching Chad's kids while he went on a trip somewhere. But so Grandma came for a visit, and what an honor, right, to be able to have your grandma who served you your whole life. And so I, you know, pulled out all my dishes to make a nicer meal. And anyways, we ended up having a lot of dishes in the sink, and it was getting late. We enjoyed company, and it was time for her to head back to Chad's house. And she put the brakes on so quick when she got a glance at that sink full of dishes, like, I am not leaving Lori's house until I get every dish washed. And she did. She didn't leave until every dish was done. And then I have roosters in my kitchen for decoration. And I was telling her about, or she had commented on it. And then about a week later, in the mail are those roosters with the, you've probably seen them in their kitchen that had been there for years with the watermelon seeds and the kernel seeds. They were made out of all this seed display. Anyway, she sent them to me. And they are like my prized possession in my kitchen now, hanging there, parts of Grandma, as her roosters, and her seed roosters. And not only she went and bought placemats to match the roosters, and walkie-talkies to give to the girls so they felt like they had something. Anyway, she just always went above and beyond to try and make sure everybody felt special and loved. And also, when she was 83, I got married, and had about 20 little round 14-foot paper pasta iron, and she got on her hands and knees and was ironing those things. And she kept saying, "Don't worry, I'm gonna get to the others. I got about 3 done today, and I'll get the rest done," you know.
anyways, that is tiring work. And she got down on her hands and knees and she ironed every one of those tablecloths for me at 83. I was just like, this lady, there's nothing she wouldn't do. What was my last story? Anyway, love that lady, and I just grateful I could be here with all of you, to feel her, to see her and all of you. You know, this is pretty awesome, and I have no doubt she's proud of this. This is what she did, all that love and service for her. It's for the love and kindness that we share amongst each other. I just spilled my water. I didn't get her grace. No, I belong out in the farm field because I don't have, anyways, but just love you all, and I'm just grateful to be here with you today.
Thank you.
Well, I have to start out by saying, for Grandma's sake, I am sufficiently saphoncified. That is probably one of my biggest memories of it. Loving every course, loving every breakfast, every meal that she put her heart and hard work into, showing each one of us how grateful she was to have us come to her house. And as a child, you don't realize what a large load that can be on someone. Especially, I think, a wild bunch of 6 to 8 kids that grew up in the farm and out working in the house. We were a energetic bunch, and I don't think I ever realized at that point how much that might have taken her out of her routine. And I can definitely now, playing a role of that sort myself, have a new appreciation for her, for all that she has done in just never once showing us that it was exhausting to her or it was tiring. I always felt her love. Taking us on walks to the park to see ducks, to feed them bread, or feeding our breakfast. I think one of my special memories was I spent 2 years as a missionary in Argentina, and Grandma was 80, 85. My mom and I had talked about them having plans that they'd come over and tour Argentina with me. My dad wasn't able to come. My mom had plans to come through. I actually had a particularly hard time emotionally with just sticking through with things right towards the end. And plans had changed at one point for me to leave before my original departure date, or before the departure date that we planned to have Mom and Mom come over. And then through conversations, we decided, okay, let's stick through it till the end. And the thing that, so when I called my mom and said, I'm coming home, I know I felt it's going to be about 4 weeks before what you had planned. The thing that stuck to me, that stuck in my mind the whole rest of the day as I was trying to process my emotions, was my mom's ending comment of, well, I guess I'll be touring Argentina by myself. And I couldn't shake that thought. I was like, there's no way my mom can be coming to Argentina by herself. So I called my mission president and made some arrangements and told him I can change my attitude. Later I was blessed with the surprise to find out that Grandma Scarborough would be coming down as an 85-year-old loving grandma with my mom to be with us. I don't know how that worked out. I don't know what plans were made, how arrangements were made, but my goodness, I don't know who's been in Argentina, but I was not in the beautiful mountains. I was not in the most touristic parts of Buenos Aires. I was in the parts where you had to watch for your life quite often. And I was kind of concerned about taking my classy grandma around to these different people's homes. The people we went visited loved us and cared about us, but people watched for the outsiders. And the sidewalks are cobblestone sidewalks and mud, and it's definitely a different setup. And so it's very concerning to have your grandma, who's 85 years old, coming around, but she just plowed through. She came out and got on, and one stop after the next, as I went and wanted to have her, every family that I had been able to meet and become friends with during that time, and they just fell in love with her. It was an interesting experience to be the translator, but they just oohed and awed over Grandma about how amazed they were at, one, that she was 85 and traveling, and just two, at how wonderful she looked and how graceful she was and how pleasant. So that is a special memory that I have that I will always hold dear to my heart. I have one more thing I wanted to just add. It's amazing I'm so grateful that she was here for 98 years. As I graduated high school, I watched my siblings from the time I was 8 get married, have a family, have their kids join us at Grandma's house. And I hit get on my mission, hit 21 years, 23 years, and I'm still in college, and I'm still wondering when am I going to be able to start my family? And I've seen Grandma get older, and I'm just wondering, when am I going to start my family? Thankfully, by the grace of God, He sent the perfect man into my life, who was a blessing, and somehow had his eyes veiled enough to be able to have me be willing to take me in his arms. And Grandma was still there. Grandma was still around, and I have had that heart's desire to be able to show her my children and introduce my children, and they're little and they're young. But each one of them, well, my oldest, and I think my middle son, has a picture with her. And I had the blessing to be at my mom's house for Thanksgiving with my children. I remember that thought just hit me. Take one more picture with all your kids, and I brushed it off. She hangs in there. She'll be here next time I see her in the summertime. And it is a painful thought to think I didn't take that one more time to cuddle my kids around her on her lap and snap that one picture. But boy, am I grateful that I was able to, that she's been here 98 years, and as I had that my heart's desire filled as I watched my siblings with their families. I was able to, at some point, bring my own family and teach them about my grandma. I love so much.
Great job. All right, our Grant.
Well, one thing I remember about Grandma, she always made everybody feel so comfortable and welcome. And I knew Dwight would be in a t-shirt and Aaron would be in a t-shirt. So I wanted to help them feel welcome. And I also wore a t-shirt. We talked with the 8-kid family. We talked quite a bit about our trips down to see Grandma during spring break. And you know, Arizona always had such amazing weather. We'd go from a blizzard to sunshine in about a 12-hour drive. It was spectacular. And I always felt like the best part about Grandma's house is that it was right on a lake. Now, I didn't know what a man-made lake was. I just knew there was a lake in the backyard. And I loved fishing as a kid, so I would always come down, or when we came down, I told Grandma how much I wanted to fish. And at the time, she didn't have a fishing pole. But for some reason, she had fishing line and a hook. And she handed me the fishing line, she tied a hook to it, and she said, "Here you go, take this and go catch some fish." Well, she always had a big school of sunnies that would swim around her dock. And
with a hot dog and a fishing line wrapped around my little finger, I was able to pull a few of those sunnies out, but they were always so small. And I wanted to catch a bigger fish. I remember she had told me that the neighbor down the dock was always dumping leftover food into the lake, so I thought that would be a good place to catch a fish. So I was there for, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 minutes. And before I know it, I get the biggest yank I could ever have just pulling on this string that's wrapped around my little 9-year-old finger. And I end up pulling, I'm sure it was probably a catfish that was 1.5 feet, but I thought, I mean, this thing was huge, right? You remember the catfish, right? I pull this catfish out, it's flopping around on the ground, and I'm screaming, I got a fish, I got a fish! And Grandma comes out and her eyes get real big, and she says, well, we're going to need to put that in something. So she goes in the garage and blows up this blow-up swimming pool and fills it up with water for me. And here I am, 9 years old, just as proud as can be. I remember just holding that fish, and I had to have 2 hands holding this fish pool, and I'll cook that up for you in the morning. I thought it was a pretty good deal, so I put that in the pool, and a couple of the sunnies went in the pool with it. I went to bed just dreaming about eating this fish in the morning, and when I wake up, Grandma had cooked fish, but it was just the 2 sunnies. And I said, well, what happened to the catfish? And she goes, I don't know, it got away, flopped back into the water. I said, oh man, well that really stinks. Well, thanks for cooking these fish. So we ate these 2 little fish. Fast forward 18 years later, I'm living here in Mesa. I've gotten really, really sick. And she had come out and picked me up in Mesa and brought me back to the house, back to her house to help me get feeling better. And maybe 2 days into that, I wake up one morning and I'm talking about this big fish story. And I said, the saddest thing is I always wanted to eat that fish. I wish I hadn't jumped out of the pool and flopped back in the water. He goes, oh, Grant, it didn't jump out of the pool and flop back in the water. I threw that damn thing back in. I didn't want to cook it. One thing I loved about Grandma was just she always made you feel like you were so important to her. And as I'm hearing so many stories about how important she is to everyone else, I think it's a tribute to her heart that all of us feel such a strong bond with her and the love that she showed each of us. It's funny, a lot of the stories that we're being told, Grandma loved telling those stories. I've been blessed enough to live here in Arizona the last 20 years. I get to see her quite a few times throughout the year, and every time she'd get back from a Christmas trip or a London trip or an Idaho trip, she had pictures and stories to tell Stacy and I and her kids, and she just loved being around everyone. She loved her family. She loved it. She loved to travel. She loved telling everyone how much she loved to travel. It was, there were a lot of good memories. But when I graduated from Rick's College, I didn't know for sure what I wanted to do from that day on. And I always tell people I loaded up my bike and I drove south so I could go mountain biking in December, but there was always something here in Arizona that drew me in. And it was definitely that love of a grandma. She embodied it better than anybody I've ever known or ever met. She was a very special, loving woman. I'm grateful for that. That's what I got.
Can I ask you
I just want to talk about what Ron was saying growing up in Arizona. So when I was a kid, we'd have to, our favourite holiday, we looked forward to every holiday, was coming here to see Jima. Because of what love she'd show us, and she'd take us on the favourite things with us. She showed me she always sent me every time I went back to help me learn in England, so when I come back, I could play her a bit closer each time and get closer to her level. And every time we go to Flagstaff, every morning we go play around with nine holes, and it just is, she showed all of us. And I was fortunate because she's 80 years older than me, so I've known her for all this time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brian. Well, thank you so much. It was wonderful to hear. Make it quick, please. We're really quick. I haven't said anything in that. Anyway, I just wanted to thank all of you for sharing all of those thoughts and memories with us. And I'm going to be really quick. I just want to say I had the privilege of having Mom up in Idaho next to me for the last 2 years of her life. So I feel very honored that I could, in some small part, meet her needs and spend time with her. And so it was wonderful. So I just want to close really quick. John, my son, just called me and said he sprained his ankle and he's looking for the Una boot. So he did a short video also that I wanted to share. Thought it was very touching and a fitting end, especially the very last photo. So Jais is just setting that up for us really quick. If you want to share that real quick, Dwight, while we're getting that ready.
Well, I was
that'd be
just going to say, in 2016, I dedicated my every holiday that year, 5 of them, to go visit Mom in the home in Montpelier. So I'd come down and spend each holiday, New Year, birthday, I was there. I was there at, Memorial Day, and then 4th of July, and, Thanksgiving, and then September, Labor Day. Yeah, so I spent 3 to 5 days with her each time, and I actually stayed in the room with her, and she slept in the chairs, and I slept in the bed, and trust me, she and I were good companions for snoring at each other. So, but unfortunately, she would fall asleep before me, so it would take me an extra hour to fall asleep. But we always played, it was so fun to actually see what it was like to live with somebody that age and actually be there every moment, every day. I have so many 80, 85-year-old girlfriends from sitting with the table at the ladies, and they were all really sweet people, wonderful people, and they were her friends, the last 2 years. But I got to play Yahtzee with her several times, and just when I thought I was going to be the champion for that trip, she'd come roaring back and whoop my butt. And then the other thing I really enjoyed visiting with her about was trying to extract stories out of her. She would never let me video her because she always wanted to look glamorous.
She was gravel Gertie, and
Yes.
she didn't like her voice.
Yeah. So I never got any good videos with her. I snuck a couple when she was snoring in her chair. No, she was good, really good. And then the other thing we did, which was really fun, and I'm so grateful you guys got her into it, was the coloring. And the senior coloring books. And it was really fun to watch her sit. She would sit for 2 or 3 hours while I was watching some idiotic TV show, right? Price is Right or something. When you're retired, you can watch silly shows, right? So, and she would just sit there and color, and I'd color with her. She was always much better than I was. At the last 2 years of her life, she could make beautiful. And I hope you guys have them. So,
I have them.
yeah. So I just want to say I spent, almost about 23 to 25 days of my life with my mom, in 2016. And it was just so fun. And, she and I were pretty close. And you mentioned me in her arms and stuff as a baby. So I'll miss her a lot. But she's there.
That's right. She's there with all of us. Thank you.
Anyway.
Okay, go ahead and start the very last
have one specific memory of Jijima, or Jima as she was to us. But I remember fresh fruit all the time. I remember Easter egg hunts in Sun City. I remember rollerblading around the lake at Grandma's house. I remember swans and fishing and warm weather, grapefruit, oranges. More recently, I remember here in Bear Lake, whenever we went and visited, the kids always came away with nickels and quarters and dimes.
My favorite memory of Jijima was when we lived in New York and Annalyn was brand new. Well, no, Radley was brand new and Annalyn was 2 years old. She just turned 2. And Jijima sent a birthday letter to us for Annalyn's birthday. She remembered that it had been Annalyn's birthday and she wanted to make sure that Annalyn knew. So I was really impressed that she could keep track of everybody's birthday and send a little something.
I remember, well, I guess the first memory that I have is in Jewel Court. 2 of them. I remember getting birthday money when we were in Jewel Court, and I went and got my birthday money when the ice cream truck came around. I went and bought some ice cream with it. And then the other one I remember is Grandma and Grandpa Scarborough in the living room of the yellow house near that nasty rock fireplace that was there. That was probably when I was 4 or 5.
Say, I love Jijima. She say, I love Jijima.
When I was little, one of my favorite things to do was fish. And so I always looked forward to going to Grandma's and just sitting for hours on the lake and fishing. And all the time, whenever I needed something, Grandma would always get the corn or make sure the fishing poles were ready or whatever it was that we needed to go fishing. She made sure that we had fun doing it, even when she wasn't necessarily out there fishing with us or enjoying it, but she made sure we had the opportunity to.
Ow.
Harley, do you love Jijima?
Did you like to give her hugs? My favorite memory of Jijima was games. Play bingo with her. I loved her 1,100 years. More than 1,100 years. I loved her 1,060,000 years. Play catch with her when I'm at her house.
You love Jijima?
Yeah.
How much do you love Jijima?
100.
You love Jijima 100? Go miss her?
So, we get to, I've had so much enjoyment here, and now we get to rush over to the lake. So if any of you need directions on how to get over to Jijima's house, Tamara has them for you.